Good morning. This is Jeremy from Lake City Services again, and I just spilled coffee on my hand, so give me just a moment. I do informal recordings here, so sometimes dumb things happen, and since I'm not going to take the time to go edit that out. I'll get started here in a minute. Great gravy. So yeah, coffee is supposed to go in the mouth and not all over the arm and all over the grazing. But oh well, these things have happened, and it's also helped me wake up a little more for both reasons. So anyway, today what I wanted to talk about was another personal computing subject that is overlooked very frequently and that has implications both for security and privacy and just general lifestyle, having a better digital life. Just like I was saying in the first personal computing episode, having third party cloud storage, third party password manager is good. You may come to the point where you realize you also would like to have your own third party email service provider. And the reason for this is simply because the most popular email service providers, such as Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, these other email providers, again, not only are they locked into their ecosystem now, don't get me wrong, you can access them from all kinds of platforms. They're not locked in such a way where you can't use them. Um, in fact, most of them work just fine, even using external mail programs, things like that. No problem. But you'll notice with the way the data is used and serviced with these mail programs, for example, Gmail, inside your Gmail account, you have a bunch of amazing features. It's very robust mail system, accessible from anywhere on the web. It's got all these great features. It is also free. It being free, it's supported through Google's analytic efforts, ad serving business model. So, being that that's the case, it is free, but you do receive promotions in your email inbox, uh, which, if consented to, will be based on some preference that you've revealed to Google by using their services in various websites, using their tools. It allows them to direct those ads in a personalized fashion to attempt to give you personalized ads in your email inbox so that you're more likely to enjoy whatever's being offered there. So, these considerations, is it a good email inbox? Does it work well? Absolutely. Does it have a lot of features, options? Yes. Is it free? Yes. Consequently, many people use it. Um, Widespread adoption of webmail, free access webmail email accounts. All that being said, though, this data is anonymized, it's decoupled in a lot of ways. It's not as transparent as people may assume, but it is still the case that it drives analytic data about you in order to serve personalized ads. And in a certain sense, using the free service cause you to be the end product. If you ever follow through with any of these promotions, then the payoff for them should be greater with their size and scope than servicing and storing your emails. In fact, if you store too many, you'll end up needing to upgrade your account at some point and pay a fee in order to store more emails, um, which is the general subject of this talk. And I know it's a ramble. I should probably start scripting these, but I'm just gonna have a good time and explain some of the things I want to talk about this. So, the one major beginning side note is consider a third party email provider who you actually pay to service your email for emails that are important to you. And the reason this can be important is because, at least with this model, you don't have a built-in incentive to be collating metadata about you and your profile, your personality, all these types of data points in order to serve you ads, because you're paying for the service, much like you would a phone number or another utilitarian communication service. Email should be thought of in a similar way if possible, and the reason is you gain a certain level of privacy protection just naturally by operating in that way. You don't have a larger level system and ecosystem that you are participating in by both generating data and simultaneously being a user as well as a wellspring of data to be monetized. So think about that. Consider that. Proton Mail is what I've used for years. Has a lot of good features. I use a large account with it, multiple addresses for different purposes. The good thing about Proton is you can also set it up to pipe your emails through domains that you own. That's a bit of a technical topic for people that aren't too far down the rabbit hole with email subject. But I would just say that along with considering a third-party cloud solution, third-party password manager, consider third-party email. Proton Mail is a great option. There's a couple of others out there. Tutanota, I've heard, is really good for privacy concern as well. It's very similar, different offering, but similar. Now, the reason I'm bringing all this up is because your email inbox, as I have done on-site tech support over the years, and I've had conversations with people about their personal computing habits. I actually developed a service that I would do. The problem is I have no clients for it. The reason is it's really hard to market because it would involve absolute trustability. So I'll be performing this for family members, people who actually know me. And the reason is because I would have to have access to someone's email to walk them through this process. So what I'm going to do instead is in this audio, I'm going to describe to you this process. It's not very hard, but it is something that can help you. So let's just talk for a minute about the email and the double-edged nature of how wonderful and problematic it can be. So email is very efficient, it's very fast, it's very good to send a message to someone. It's also got generally and reasonably secure standards as far as how the messages are sent. There is overall utility with email because of the fact that it's easily accessible both on smart devices and computers. And this is a major benefit as well. So, of course, your main points of communication are going to be emailed in through the telecom systems in most cases. So this email really is actually an important point of contact, and in fact, laws have been updated through the last few years in order to say that information found in someone's email can be used and exposed in a court of law, similar to how hard paper mail communication could be used. So your email is a point of contact that is seen as associated with your identity when you take certain actions with that email account. So what I often find is that people will have scads of emails for years. Some people I talk to actually have all their Gmail emails going all the way back to when they opened their Gmail account, and I'm not even joking you. This could be hundreds of thousands or millions of emails. And I know it's easy to let that happen to yourself. This isn't about trying to make anybody feel bad for having a dirty email inbox. But you know that joke people used to make in those bumper stickers in the 90s that would say, the sign of a clean car is the sign of a dirty mind, you know? People make jokes about, lifestyle habits of that manner. Well, this is a similar issue, You've got a dirty email inbox and it should be cleaned, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Let's just talk from a lifestyle and personal computing point of view to begin with. So your email inbox is a major point of contact that is a powerful tool to send and receive messages uh, in a fairly secure manner to people all over the place. Anybody who has another email. That is great. This is fantastic. Well, there are things that should be considered when thinking about storing for long periods of time messages. A lot of things that should probably be considered. But again, okay, let me go back to the casual end user personal computing thing. If your email inbox, and I know this is true for a lot of people because I deal with this even with what I'm telling you, it's such a crazy problem. If you're inundated with a bunch of useless messages, it actually reduces the efficiency and usefulness of the email. And in fact, like I've talked to people who have spun up entire new email addresses just because an email address they've had is so inundated with garbage. It ceases to be useful to them. It's no longer something where they're really getting important messages. It's in a sea of useless and marketing messages, email marketing messages that are being sent to them. Uh, so the utility of using the email goes way down. It starts being an annoyance to check the email, try to figure out what's going on there. A lot of people I talk to, they're only going to check their email if something tells them they need to check their email. It's basically just being used as a verification method for a lot of accounts. Uh, this is because the utility and usefulness of it has been reduced because it's overwhelmed with useless information. Um, so one reason to clean your email inboxes, it, and like I said, you probably already have more than one. If you don't, you may want to consider it. It's up to you. But the point just being, if you clean it, it becomes useful again. It becomes easy to check. All your relevant information can be seen very rapidly, and it actually becomes useful when you get a notification that you've received an email because the bulk of your email, once clean, is now useful. And with the way that something that irritates me, a lot of people I pay bills to, they won't let me. They don't want to send me a paper bill in the mail anymore, which I find to be a very useful way to make sure I don't forget something. Well, they all want to do email, you know. Let us send you an email. You log into your account, pay the bill. I don't have a functional problem with that. The issue is if my communication apparatus, my email is clogged with a bunch of garbage, and I'm not readily seeing these notifications, I'm more likely to forget something, maybe do a bad job of responding to something in a timely fashion. Well, this could be true for work communication. This could be true for personal communication. What if a friend sends me an email? I've had this happen to me, and I haven't seen it for weeks. I have no idea it's there. It popped in during a stream of notifications. My email was just getting hammered with all kinds of stuff. I didn't even see it. I don't even know. Till through another communication, hey man, you get my email? Oh man, sorry. What are we talking about? I have to go back and search for it and find it because it's like in a spaghetti nest of all these other messages. Well, so from a personal computing standpoint, just functionally, an overrun, dirty email box is not going to be useful to you in as much insofar as email can be. Consequently, it's going to be used less. But what is happening is a side entailment problem I want to talk about when it comes to privacy and security. So, number one, you've got your privacy situation that your metadata is being monetized if you're using certain mail platforms. So that's the one consideration, which is a valid a valid thing that should be recognized. But you also have a general security issue, and what I mean by that is that if you become mentally adjusted to having a lot of junk email mixed in with emails that are valid, the likelihood that you're going to fall victim to some type of phishing attack, which is basically just a type of scam that's driven through email, using messages that look legitimate, but in fact lead to malware or some type of digital compromise. Your chance of falling victim to that is absolutely increased because you are seeing legitimate marketing messages so much of the time that mean very little to you. That your ability to distinguish between a counterfeit and a real marketing message becomes much less. Uh, your discernment of that will be less because it's not true that you're aware of every account for every message you're receiving in your inbox because your inbox is a spaghetti nest and you stopped tracking and thinking about this a long time ago. Um, so, from a security standpoint, if you know what messages you're receiving and what you aren't, and you have general awareness, and the tool is useful, this is just a better place to be from a personal computing standpoint. Now, think about this. You can go through, now you got tools. There are some tools, extensions. You can get an extension for your browser that'll help you unsubscribe from mailing lists more easily than doing it manually. I've actually always used the manual method, but there is a built in tool in Proton now that will assist you in unsubscribing from mailing lists as well. It's not 100%, but it works pretty good. Um, but my point just being that if you go through and remove yourself from these marketing mailing lists, that is a number one way to help. That is the main thing that is going to start stemming the flow of unnecessary emails. Um, and again, it'll also help create a situation where it's easier to discern what's a legit message versus a fake one. Now, luckily, your email providers have been updated over time with spam detection. They've gotten very good at being able to filter things to protect you. But no technological solution is perfect, especially against social manipulation or phishing. These types of attacks are very successful and have a high rate of success because they play on lack of awareness of the end user. So, moving on from that, you're opting into these marketing messages when you go on certain websites. It's okay, send me a coupon, no problem. In most cases, this is fine. Email marketing is a legit form of advertising, no problem there in a general sense. But let's say you're someone who wants to have higher level privacy and hasn't considered the way all these accounts and email marketing systems operate. Well, a general marketing message that is just to attempt to sell you something. There are rules about how these messages have to be dealt with, and to operate as a legit operation, at least in North America, for marketing emails, you will have the ability to unsubscribe and to remove yourself from being marketed to by the system that you opted into previously. So as long as it's a legitimate outfit that's emailing you, you can unsubscribe and stop these marketing emails from coming. But here's something that should be thought about. Certain email systems, once they have your email address, it's true that you can unsubscribe and remove yourself from marketing email messages. But there are types of emails that you cannot remove yourself from these lists. These are known as transactional emails. And these are functional type emails where a receipt or a type of legal notification, or like in the case of e-bill, like I said before, it's a delivery method that is transactional in nature and not for marketing reasons. It cannot be opted out of. You cannot tell them not to send you that email. And this could be true for money market accounts, exchange accounts. And my biggest example would be cryptocurrency exchange accounts, Coinbase, things like this. You're able to clean your inbox, but you can't stop them from sending you transactional emails. So this does create a data set of associations that, with that email address and with your identity, that you cannot remove yourself from your side of the equation. Now, eventually, a lot of these systems, they will maintain communication for a certain number of years. I think in the case of most financial, like if you join a financial platform, an exchange or a money market type service or platform, and you go through the KYC process to reveal your identity and properly register and all these things, I want to say they will typically send transactional emails for, I think it's 3 to 7 years after you stop all activity on their platforms. Um, I would have to look again to find out what that time frame actually is. Um, But you can expect, like, let's say you open a Webull account and you do stock and crypto trading for a week on the trial, and you're done. Well, a few things are going to happen from that. Well, number one, you're going to get your marketing emails that you opted into from the platform. Those trades that you did are going to generate a tax implication, a set of forms that are going to be submitted by the exchange to the tax authorities, IRS. They're also going to send you one of those forms transactionally. And in the case of Webull, it was electronic. They didn't. I think they did follow up with sending me something paper as well, but transactional emails with the expectation that I'm going to follow through and fill this information out of my taxes and pay the income. Well, even when you're done with that trial and you don't do any more trades with Webull, you sold your free stock, whatever, they're still sending periodically to this account a transaction email saying, "Hey, if you want to have any updates or look at your account, like it's here." And they'll do this periodically because they're basically just saying, "Hey, there's no activity. Hey, there's no activity." Well, if you were associated with different groups, different platforms, and did not want to be, you need to be aware of transactional emails and your storage of them, how that can be used as a data point to know your involvement with certain platforms. This is just something I wanted to mention. And when it comes to the privacy topics, I want people to understand that they may be talked about a certain way, but privacy is a right that you have. There shouldn't be taken from the discussion of privacy the implication that something untoward or wrong or illegal is being done in order to want a baseline of privacy. Everybody deserves to have personal baseline of privacy on their information. The reason why these discussions are important is because I think that without thinking through what we're doing, we end up surrendering that privacy in a way that can be unproductive for us or even harmful, depending on what we're doing, what we're engaged in, what our work is, this, that, and the other. So, the whole reason I did this episode was to try to be encouraging and to tell you that if you go and clean your email inboxes, it will be better for your digital life. Not only because it will become useful again, but it also will reduce your threat, the scope of your threat vector by a massive amount. And this is because if there's any kind of interest gained about you in any way, if you become part of any kind of investigation, one of the first things that's going to be looked at is all your emails. You know, and I mean, you might not be into it anymore, but even that lingerie you ordered for your wife 3 years ago, there's some kind of transactional email sitting in your archive. You know, yeah, it's your private information, but other people may see it at some point if those events occur. So, no, it's not a big deal, especially if you're not doing anything wrong. But you should just understand that, like, there are privacy and security implications of how you use your email. And if you take the steps now to clean your email inbox, it will become a process. Like I just did mine again today. It only took about 10 minutes. And I have 5 different streams of email from multiple services that are all piped and filtered different ways in order for me to make sure that I see what I need to for work or for these uh, requirements to be a responsible person. Now, it only takes me 5 to 10 minutes to check through all 5 because I keep cleaning email inboxes. So you're going to have some things throughout the year you're going to want to archive for about a year. If they're work related, you might need to look them up again. But as soon as you know that something is not useful to you any longer, there's no reason to have it. There's no reason. So data that is not being used should be deleted. That is like a personal thing I want to share with you. That if it's outlived its usefulness, it has no purpose to exist. Delete it. You don't need your marketing messages that you got from the grocery store even 2 weeks ago. Those coupons aren't even valid anymore. So why are you using your cloud storage and increasing your uh, lack of usefulness with email by retaining all these messages? Um, so the reason I'm explaining this is, look, It's really tough to do when you first start out. There are tips to make it easier. For example, if you're using Gmail, and I'll do a separate recording on this, you should go through, look at all your settings, limit the amount of data that you're allowing Google to store on your profile and your account. Tell them, hey, I only want so many days of email stored in here. Activate that option and let it remove the bulk of that garbage out of your account storage, and then just go through, get off these mailing lists. It's a process, like I said. I was going to offer it as a service, but because it requires trustability, I didn't find a good way to market it yet. But because it takes a few hours, and you got to know what you're looking at. Because what you want to do is you want to have all your useful connections and messages retained, and you want to get rid of all the junk. It seems daunting if you've got thousands of these, but I mean, if you spend a few hours doing this here and there, eventually it'll be cleaned up. And when you go in the future to look at it, like in a month or two, and you notice that you've got more and you just cleaned the entire thing out, well, you really didn't. Because a lot of these marketing services, they go dormant and then they ping you again. So you're going to remove all your mailing list associations, and they're going to come back. You're going to be flooded again and again, like in waves, until you eventually really rightfully clean it. Of course, you can always spin up a new email address, but you've also got your association with all the people who had your previous one. So that's where forwarding emails and filtering emails according to their content is going to be another layer of gaining efficiency in the realm of email. But what you don't want to do is fall into the trap that a lot of people do with personal computing. They neglect their email. Their email becomes a next to useless part of their digital life. And then when they have to go actually deal with it, it's a pain in the neck. It's a complete pain in the neck to have to go deal with it, use it, whatever. Um, so instead, take some time out in the next, few weeks, months, whatever. If you know someone like me that you trust that's nerdy enough to help you with it, then get their help. But the point just being that once you do this, you're going to be happier in your digital life, and you're going to have a safer computing environment just in a general sense. There is no need for you to have a million emails. Um, this is just a massive amount of data about you that may or may not be accurate. But again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how accurate of a picture it paints about you. It still paints one. So even if it's very inaccurate as to how somebody may interpret that, just like someone's browser history, and you can imagine if your entire browser history was exposed, how embarrassing that would be. Well, your email inbox is not much different. And in fact, it can be a lot more dangerous because you have extant messages that do give details about communication and associations you have with services and platforms. Um, so, thank you for hearing me out. Um, so, the suggestions today are consider third party email. If you're going to do that, look into it. Actually, look at what they offer. Be willing to pay. This is one of your most vital communication methods that you have, and you're in a better position if you are not a monetized product in the equation of using this communication method. Does that mean I got rid of all my Gmail accounts? No, they're really useful, but I don't use them in my primary personal operation. Uh, so I would just tell you that again, when people use this, they'll say this, and they're right. If it's free, then you might be the product. Well, yeah, that's kind of the case. So consider a third-party email service. Be willing to pay a little bit, just like you pay for your phone. Your email is important. It's that important, and maybe even more, because of the transactional nature of some of the messages and how legally binding they can be. Um, so please consider third-party email. And then the second suggestion to close this out is spend some time cleaning your email inboxes. Please. It will not only make your email useful again, but it will reduce your threat vector by a massive amount, both in terms of security and privacy. Thank you for hearing me out. This was Jeremy from Oak City Services, and I will do more similar talks in the future. But please understand, A lot of data breaches are because of this issue. A lot of personal compromise are because of this issue. A lot of scams. Um, anyhow, thank you.